We're looking at one of the oldest guns in my collection. That's right, I've had this one in my possession for many years, never reviewed it, in this episode of Airsoftology Reviews. You'd be kind of hard-pressed for anybody out there not to know what exactly I'm holding in my hand. This is the UMREX MP7. It's OEM'd by KWA, and OEM means Original Equipment Manufacturer. It means who actually makes the gun for them. You know, if you guys don't know, companies like UMREX, which is also Elite Force in the United States, actually partner with companies to put their licensing on it because they hold the HK license and to put out a quality product with quality control and all the other things you'd expect from a big company. So in this day, we're looking at the MP7, an oldie but a goodie. So externally, this is a hybrid build between metal and polymer, and most of the parts you're going to find are polymer just like the real MP7. In fact, the metal bits are going to be your flash hider, your front and rear sights, your top rail, a couple of the trigger components and bits there, the magazine, and some of the bolts and nuts, including the metal rails here on the stock. Pretty much everything else, with a few minor exceptions, are going to be made of polymer. So it kind of adds for this like hybrid build. Again, everything that's metal on the real one is metal on this one, and everything that's polymer is also polymer. So in this version of the MP7, it is, I want to make note of this, the KWA OEM'd, which is this one, is actually not a real sized MP7. You may or may not know this. The actual VFC made, the Navy version, is truly 1:1. The KWA version, just like the Tokyo Marui version, was built on drawings and they didn't really have a reference for size, and they ended up building it slightly smaller, about 10–15% smaller than a real MP7, because they didn't have a chance to get a hold of a real one of these because they're extremely hard to find, especially back then because they were only for like special operations units to actually do the size comparison off of. But don't let that fool you or discourage you. The MP7, if you guys know, this is a great size, especially for almost every player out there. It's manageable, it's not unwieldy, and you know what? It's balanced really well. It's right there over the grip. The weight distribution, although it does feel a little hefty, balances easily front and rear, so it makes it a nice submachine gun. And then with a quick adjustment of that stock, single adjustment though, it does go full all the way down, so it could be long for a few people, and then a fold of this flip up front grip. Now you actually have kind of a slightly all-large but usable sidearm. Functionally, on this gas blowback submachine gun, you do have a lot of triggers and switches and stuff, so I'm going to run over what they all do. Up here in front of your pointer finger on both sides, and by the way, lefties, be happy, this is a fully ambi gun. It works left and right, all the same across the board. So up here on your pointer finger is the bolt release. So once you actually cock the bolt back by using the actual charging handle here in the rear, if it locks back, meaning there's no BBs in this gun, you press it up and it will actually move that bolt forward. So it actually snaps it forward. That is the bolt release. Everything is very easily reachable, again, because this is slightly shrunk down, super easy to get to no matter what size hand you have. Also, the fire selector is 3 positions. It does go all the way to top safe, semi in the middle, and full in the bottom. Although I do feel like it kind of gets in the way in that full position, just a little bit of your hand, so you might accidentally bump it up. Having this gun for a long time, I haven't had that problem, but if you get really big hands, it could be a bit of an issue. But the left side, for mainly riding users, is going to have a slightly larger fire selector than the right side. So the right side is a little smaller to help compensate that for your righties. Like I said, the front grip slides out of the way. It's got a lock switch here in the front. You do have that metal flash hider. It is removable, and you can also put on aftermarket suppressors if you can track those suckers down. There is some threading under here, although it is not 14mm, but again, just look for the adapters. They're out there in the market everywhere if you want to adapt this to 14mm to put something not specialized on the front end. Also, to round it all out, you do have some sling attachment points here, front and rear, left and right. They are in the polymer though, so I would recommend putting some maybe a 550 cord, making a little loop, and then hooking it to it. I think if you hooked metal to this over time, you'd have some problems, and I've seen a few people snap theirs out, but albeit a not big issue. And rounding out all the externals, I do want to talk about these front and rear metal sights. Again, the optic doesn't come with the gun. The sights are interesting because in pistol mode, you can leave these sights flipped in their low position. You got 2 white dots in the back and 1 in the front, very much like pistol sights. But if you want to run in the submachine mode, you flip these guys both up. It gives you a lot of clearance. Now you've got a little hole in the back and a little post in the front. Run that stock all the way out and you're good to go. Again, I was talking about that stock. It is kind of long for the size. If you guys want to bring it down, and this is what I did on mine, I actually cut a little notch in here. There's some how-tos on the web if you guys want to track them down. Just do MP7 KWA stock mod, and you'll find what I'm talking about. And you'll be able to make a notch in this stock and bring it back down a little bit. So you can choose where that notch is to bring that stock in just a little bit if you guys want to hold a little tighter for room clearing. Internally, it's going to be a short story here because this is a gas blowback submachine gun. So it's powered by green gas. It comes with a 40-round magazine. You can pick up spares here. By the way, these things are built like a tank. They are really hefty, but you know what? They do hold up to some abuse. Mine, I've dropped many times on this and it's still held up. So you do have 40 rounds in here. The gas capacity of this is more than enough to keep up with all those rounds, but I do find myself refilling this with every single mag load. Once you put it on in here, you got it good to go. They used to make some short mags that were actually, I think, around 20 rounds. I don't think you can find those anymore. I at least haven't seen them online back when the KSC and KWA's first release. So pretty much you're gonna be stuck with these long 40 rounders. But again, I like that round capacity to give you all those shots. Also internally, and we'll get to the Chrono section here in a second, you do have two options. If this thing is shooting too hot for you, they do produce a low power bolt that's very affordable and pretty easy to swap out. A couple pins here in the back, you're actually able to pull out the assembly, swap the blowback assembly, and put it back inside to get it going. Also, the other plus about the internals here are, because it's been on the market so long, there are tons of aftermarket parts and upgrades, as well as like an adjustable one where you can infinitely adjust the feet per second. A lot of companies are making different parts. So if something does go wrong under here, you have tons of support for upgrades, changes, components, all the way because this thing's been on the market so long. All right, so taking it to the Chrono, we did see a little bit over that 400 feet per second, and rounds per second are, you know, kind of tough to do on a gas blowback gun, but you're gonna see in that low teens when you go full auto. I would recommend not doing the full auto that much. I definitely say on this, because you do have a pretty good cooldown effect on the magazine. So as you start with your first shot, you're gonna get a higher rounds per second, so maybe short burst. But if you're gonna do a full mag dump, be warned that it will slow the cycling down as you go to empty that mag to the point where it's just gonna barely cycle. So definitely stick with those little burst fires. The KWA system is really efficient on gas, and I think this thing really shines with just that semi-auto firing and then short bursts. So guys, if you have been holding out for one of these, and like I said, it's been long overdue for me to do a review of the KWA OEM'd MP7A1 from Elite Force and Umarex, definitely take a look at one of these. It's a pretty cool sidearm. Like I said, there's so many, like back when I got mine, I couldn't find holsters or any kind of bits and parts for it, but now they have like holsters and all kinds of crazy stuff you can do with this sidearm / submachine gun. And of course, if you guys want to pick one of these up of your own, as always, I got a link in the description below so you can check it out. As always, thanks for tuning in. If you're not currently a subscriber, click on the logo in the bottom right or in the description and you'll always be in the know. Plus, if you like what you saw in this video and want to learn more, I've got a link down there as well. And if you haven't had your airsoft fix just yet, click in the videos on the right or use the info button at the top of the screen for more. And as the saying goes, everyone has an opinion and I do want to hear yours. So give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on this video, comment, and share.